Basically, we'll give you two different scenarios. So if you're staying in a travel trailer or fifth wheel and you have your side outs out permanently full time, the best advice from all the manufacturers is to operate the rooms at least once a month in and out. Some things to consider depending upon the temperature, weather, wind. Your side out seals are now exposed permanently to the elements. So a lot of the side out treatments, and I'll show you a couple of them real quick. One of them is a Protect All product. It's called a side out rubber seal treatment. And that comes out like a spray foam mousse. Another one that we use is a product that's made by Starbright. It just says rubber seal conditioner, and it's more of a spray trigger, so you can get into areas inside as well. Both those products are, when you're treating the side outs, I want you to think of that as like a windshield wiper blade that can go bad, except for it's a lot more expensive to replace it and to purchase it. So
that's a sample of one right there.
Yeah, exactly. And so some of that stuff's pretty expensive, and some of it's not sold in a normal small amount of footage. So like say Dave, for example, if a customer came in and only needed 10 feet, they can't buy 10 feet. They're going to have to be subject to buy a 50-foot roll or 350-foot roll.
Yeah, it depends on the seal, but they sell it in mass quantities, not just little sections or by the foot for the most part.
Yeah. And so going back to the conditioners are anti-static. There's a UV blocker in them. There's a water repellent in them. And that's going to keep the seal soft and pliable so that they're actually doing their job by gliding in and out. A dry or unconditioned seal can actually cause drag on the room and cause some premature wear on the mechanisms or systems that's in them. If it's a cable-driven system or a Schwintech, so each side out manufacturer is different. So
well, and in worst case too, the seal won't seal.
Exactly.
And you'll get moisture inside.
Yeah, moisture.
Yeah. Now I have heard some of the comments that we've gotten in the past when we talk about seal conditioning is some people say they use baby powder. What do you think of that?
Not a big fan of that. That's pretty much going to dry the seal and pull the oils that are in the rubber out.
Yeah.
And another scenario is like, say you have a Class A motorhome or Class C. Those units may have a hydraulic slide out system as well as leveling jacks. And it's the same thing with those. Operate the rooms at least once a month and the leveling jack systems. And we also see it on a lot of newer fifth wheels nowadays. They have a hydraulic, like a Lippert system in it. You want to operate those cylinders at least once a month.
Yeah.
One thing I want to jump on there, you mentioned the baby powder. The most common time that I actually see people bring that up, and maybe it's just in me doing this or not really the customer specifying, the BAL AccuSlides, the cable-driven slides, because they run on that wear bar on the bottom. If you're actually using a liquid, product to do anything on the bottom there, it causes there to be friction on there, and then it starts to chatter. So people go, okay, well then I need to use something dry like baby powder. And just kind of a reference onto that, a lot of the older style AccuSlides, they want you to put rollers underneath them now. If you get in contact with them, there's a build sheet for adding rollers and stuff, and that'll take care of that issue.
Well, in both the AccuSlide, the cable slides, and the Schwintech, the whole idea of those is the rollers take the weight of that room. The gear should have no weight on it. It should just be pulling it backwards. And one of the things that I've seen with the baby powder is, if you get any moisture and it rains or, it's humid or something like that, that turns to paste, pretty much in that stuff. And then it's worse for it almost. And the other thing too, is that I've seen where we've got a lot of construction workers out here in the Midwest that come in for the wind farms and different things. And they bring their rigs and stay a long time with all the rooms extended. And we have tons of wind out here, and it just seems like a dust bowl constantly going. And with those slide rooms out and those mechanisms and rams and gears all exposed to that harsh wind and all the debris and stuff like that, that you really need to get in there and clean those up. And every manufacturer has a recommendation. Some of them, HWH recommends using WD-40, which none of the other ones do, but they do recommend cleaning it off really well afterwards. And talk a little bit about conditioning that mechanism itself. What should a person do if they're like him? 90% of the time it's going to be out and could have problems.
So if it's a Lippert system, you don't want to spray any lubricant in the actual rails itself.
Yeah.
There's a video that Lippert provides that goes in and shows you actually how to lube the gibs and the shoe and the different parts on it, the V-rollers and stuff on the Swintech system.
Yep.
And that's a PTFE spray, and one can will last you almost a lifetime of the coach. I mean, it's
right.
little quick sprays and you're done.
CRC is their recommendation.
Yep. CRC with PTFE.
Yep. And they have. I just want to throw this in. Lippert has a phenomenal education department. Their learning center. They have a certification for technicians that I have gone through, but they also have one for owners. And I think if you own any kind of slide room mechanism and it's a Lippert product, which almost all of them are now, they bought Quickie, they bought Power Gear, they've Schwintech and their own system. Go in and just take their owner orientation coach and become familiar with what you need to understand with those things. Because, I would say with the Schwintech thing, 75% or more of the issues that have happened with that thing are owners not understanding and either overloading or not leveling or power or, it's on and on and on. And not saying they're the best system in the world, but they're not getting a fair rap.
Yeah.
Even the older style Ram systems, the under rail frame systems, there's different other companies now that make supports for those, so that if the coach is moving or rocking, that you can go in and brace them to help carry to support the load, because some of those rooms aren't designed to be out full time.
That brings up a good point. I know Chuck used to go to Louisville. Every year in December, there was the big manufacturer show in Louisville, Kentucky. And when the first slide rooms came out, I remember those units had 55-gallon drums underneath the slide room and then black curtains around so you couldn't see the drums holding the rooms up. So times have changed a little bit here.
When it comes to the Lippert products, like you're saying, go on their stuff. They offer a lot of supply or support for them. For everybody that's pretty comfortable with using smartphones and stuff, the Lippert Now app is a great app to have. It has all that information at your fingertips. And it's a lot better now, but back in the day, as you know, you used to call Lippert for tech support and you'd sit on the phone for 45 minutes before somebody answers. And so now you can chat to text. And as a little tip to the people out there, if you keep going, I don't understand, you can get right through on the phone.
Yeah. I've had great success